My parents used my credit card without asking to pay for a $15,000 trip to Europe for my sister, their golden child. I reported it as fraud, which caused a huge family drama and led to a breakdown in our relationships. I never thought I would write a post like this, but here I am, still in shock and disbelief at what my parents did. My name is Alex, I'm 28, and I have a younger sister Emma who is 22 and has just graduated from college. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Our parents, let's just say, have always had an interesting approach to raising us, but their latest action has left me furious. To give you some context, I have always been the responsible child in the family. I studied hard in school, earned scholarships, and immediately after college, I landed a good job in finance. Since I was 22, I have been financially independent and proud of what I have achieved. Emma, on the other hand, has always been the baby of the family. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but our parents definitely spoiled her from the start. It was obvious that Emma was the favorite. She got new clothes, the latest gadgets, and was never required to get a part-time job or help around the house. I tried to ignore it and focus on my goals and future, but sometimes it was hard to ignore such blatant favoritism. I remember one incident when I was 16 and she was 10. I had been saving for several months to buy myself a new gaming console. The day I finally had enough money, I excitedly told my parents I was going to the store. To my shock, they replied, "Oh, we already bought one for Emma last week. You can use hers." I was devastated. Fast forward to the present, I am truly proud of Emma. She worked hard and deserves to celebrate her achievement. I even gave her a new laptop she had been dreaming about for her graduation. Last week, my mom called me, ecstatic, and enthusiastically told me how they had prepared the perfect graduation gift for Emma a month-long trip to Europe. I was happy for Emma, thinking it was a generous gesture from our parents. But then came the shocking moment. "We paid for everything with your credit card?" My mom said casually, as if it were the most ordinary thing. "Of course we'll pay you back, but we needed the bonus points from your card for booking flights and hotels." I was in shock. I couldn't believe my ears. When I finally found the strength to speak, I asked how much they had spent. The answer was like a punch to the gut: $15,000. $15,000 from my credit card without my knowledge or consent. "Mom," I said, trying to stay calm, "you can't just use my credit card without my permission. It's illegal. $15,000 is a huge amount." She brushed me off. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, Alex. It's for your sister's graduation. We're family, and family helps each other. Besides, we're reliable people. We'll pay you back eventually." Eventually? What does that even mean? And since when did $15,000 become something insignificant? I tried to explain to my mom why this was so serious, how it would affect my credit score, that I might need the credit limit in case of an emergency, and how illegal it was. But my mom wouldn't listen. "You have always been such an egoist," she said coldly. "Can't you just be happy for your sister? This is her big moment, and you're trying to ruin it with your greed." I couldn't believe my ears. I was being called an egoist for being angry about an unauthorized $15,000 charge on my credit card. I ended the conversation feeling a mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief. In the following days, I tried to talk to my dad, hoping he would be more reasonable, but he repeated my mom's words, saying I was overreacting and should support my sister. Emma, for her part, seemed unaware of the full situation. When I tried to talk to her about it, she just enthusiastically talked about how excited she was for the upcoming trip and thanked me for my contribution to her graduation gift. I felt like I was going crazy. I decided to call the bank and dispute the charge, but to my horror, I learned that my parents had used the card details they had for emergencies to book the entire trip online. The bank said that since I had given them the details, it didn't count as fraud. Now, I was left with a $15,000 debt, a blocked credit card, and a family who thought I was an egoist for not wanting to pay for my sister's luxury vacation. It hurts. I'm angry and feel betrayed by the people who were supposed to love and support me. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to cancel the entire trip, but I know that would cause a huge family conflict. Another part just wants to pay the debt to avoid the drama, but $15,000 is a lot of money, and I'm afraid that if I let this slide, it will set a precedent for future financial abuse. Am I overreacting? Should I just swallow my pride and pay for my sister's trip? Or should I stand my ground, even if it potentially destroys my relationship with my family? I feel lost and in desperate need of advice. Update 1. Thank you all for your support and advice. Honestly, I was shocked by the huge number of responses to my post. Reading your comments, I realized that I am not crazy for feeling deceived and angry about this situation. Following your advice, I decided to take action. First, I called the bank again and escalated the issue to a higher level. I explained the situation in detail, emphasizing that although my parents had my card details for emergencies, I had never authorized them to use it for this specific purchase. After some discussion, the bank agreed to investigate the charge as possible fraud. Then I sent my parents and Emma a group message, offering to have a family Zoom call to discuss the situation. I wanted to give them a chance to rectify the situation before resorting to more drastic measures. The call, to say the least, was tense. I started by calmly explaining why their actions were unacceptable, the legal consequences, the loss of trust, and the financial burden they had placed on me. I told them I had reported the charges to the bank as fraud and that they needed to cancel the trip immediately. The reaction of my parents was not what I had hoped for. They were outraged, accusing me of dramatizing and trying to ruin Emma's graduation. My mom even said, "We raised you, clothed you, and fed you, gave you a roof over your head. The least you can do is help give your sister the trip of a lifetime." I took a deep breath and replied, "You decided to have children. Taking care of us is your responsibility as parents, but that doesn't give you the right to commit credit card fraud in my name." Emma, who had been silent until that point, suddenly burst into tears. "I can't believe you're trying to ruin my graduation gift," she sobbed. "You have always been jealous of me. Why can't you just be happy for me for once?" Her words stung, but at the same time, they strengthened my resolve. I realized that this sense of entitlement and blatant favoritism was a long-standing problem, and it was time to set some hard boundaries. "Emma," I said, trying to speak gently but firmly, "I am happy for you. I am proud of your graduation. But this trip was paid for illegally, using my money without my permission. This is not a gift from me, and it is unacceptable." My dad, who had been silent until then, finally spoke up. "Son, we didn't think it was such a big deal. We always had access to your card for emergencies. We just thought it was normal for family to do this once in a while." I couldn't believe my ears. "Dad, $15,000 is not a small amount, and this was not an emergency. You can't just dispose of my money without my consent." The call ended with my parents angry, Emma crying, and me feeling drained but firm in my decision. They refused to cancel the trip, insisting that I was overreacting and that they would not pay me back. After the call, I took the next step. I contacted my friend who was a lawyer and explained the situation. He confirmed that my parents' actions were indeed illegal and that I had every right to file a lawsuit if I chose to go down that path. I also went to the police station and filed a report for unauthorized use of my credit card. The police officer I spoke with was understanding and took down all the details. He warned me that further investigation would likely cause a serious rift in the family. I am still torn about what to do next. On the one hand, I love my family, and the thought of suing them disgusts me. On the other hand, their behavior is unacceptable, and I am afraid that if I don't stand firm now, it might happen again in the future. At the moment, I have decided to wait and see what conclusions the bank investigation comes to. I have also frozen my credit accounts to prevent any further unauthorized actions with my financial data. This whole situation has made me realize that I need to set clearer boundaries with my family. I have always tried to be a peacemaker, smoothing over conflicts and making everyone happy. But in doing so, I have repeatedly allowed myself to become a victim. It hurts and it sucks, but at the same time, I feel a strange sense of strength. For the first time, I am standing up for myself and saying, "No, this is unacceptable." It's hard and it's scary, but it's also necessary. Thank you all again for your support and advice. I will update you as soon as there are developments in the bank investigation or if anything changes in my relationship with my family. Update 2. A few weeks have passed since my last update, and much has changed. I want to thank everyone again for their support and advice. Your comments have been a source of strength during this difficult time. First, the good news. The bank investigation concluded in my favor. They confirmed that the charges were indeed unauthorized and canceled them. What a relief to no longer feel the weight of a $15,000 debt on my shoulders. Now, about the aftermath in the family. When my parents and Emma learned that the trip was canceled due to the credit card chargeback, all hell broke loose. My phone literally exploded with angry calls and messages. My mom left a particularly nasty voicemail, calling me an ungrateful and selfish son, and claiming that I had ruined Emma's life. Emma posted a video on social media about how her cruel brother had ruined her dream graduation trip. Some of our mutual friends and distant relatives began writing to me, asking why I had been so harsh with my sister. The situation was out of control, and I realized it was time to clarify everything. I wrote a post explaining what had actually happened, how my card was used without my permission, and how I had tried to resolve the situation with the family before going to the bank. The reaction to my post was mixed. Some people supported me and were shocked by my parents' actions. Others still thought I should have just sacrificed myself for the sake of the family and let Emma go on the trip. It was surprising to see how many people think fraud is acceptable if it's done within the family. A few days later, my aunt, my mom's sister, called me. She was understanding of my situation and shared a family story I didn't know. Apparently, my mom had a history of financial irresponsibility and had previously used the trust of other family members to get money. My aunt supported me and advised me to stand my ground. This conversation made me realize that the problem was deeper than it seemed. This was not a one-time incident, but a long-standing pattern of behavior that had been justified and ignored for years. I realized that I needed to set hard boundaries. I made the important decision to tell my parents that I was cutting off all contact with them for an indefinite period. I explained that I needed time to process what had happened and that I couldn't trust them right now. I also told Emma that, despite the fact that I love her and am proud of her achievements, I needed to distance myself from her as well. Their reaction was predictably negative. My parents accused me of destroying the family, and Emma cried, saying I was punishing her for something she didn't do. It was hard, but I remained firm in my decision. In the midst of this family drama, I focused on protecting myself from potential financial abuse in the future. I changed all my passwords, closed the credit card my parents had access to, and opened a new one at a different bank. I also started seeing a psychologist to help me work through my feelings about this situation and learn how to set healthier boundaries. An unexpected positive outcome of this whole story is that I have grown closer to my aunt and several cousins who supported me. It's nice to know that not everyone in my family thinks my parents' actions are acceptable. As for Emma's graduation trip, I learned from relatives that my parents eventually sent her on a 2-week tour of California. Emma, it seems, was satisfied. With cautious optimism, I look to the future. I have decided to extend the period of no contact with my parents for at least another 3 months. I need more time to recover and understand if they are capable of respecting my boundaries. As for Emma, I am open to slowly rebuilding our relationship, but I am approaching this with caution. This experience has taught me a lot about standing up for my rights and what the word family really means. I have realized that family is not just about blood ties, but also about mutual respect, support, and love. Friends and relatives who supported me during this trial showed me what a real family should be like. I have also learned an important lesson about financial independence. I have always been good with money, but this situation has made me even more vigilant. I have set up additional security measures for all my accounts. There were moments of doubt and sadness, especially during family holidays. Mother's Day was particularly tough, but I reminded myself that cutting off contact was necessary for my mental health and personal growth. An unexpected outcome of this whole situation is that I have become something of a consultant for friends who are dealing with similar problems in their families. Several people have come to me for advice on how to set boundaries and deal with financially irresponsible relatives. It's gratifying to know that I can help others cope with such situations. As for the financial situation of my parents, I learned from my aunt that they are currently experiencing difficulties. It turns out they were counting on using my credit card not just for Emma's trip. This has led to arguments between them, and my father is blaming my mother for going too far with the credit card fraud. I feel a bit guilty about their struggles, but I remind myself that their poor financial decisions are not my responsibility. Emma shared some observations about our parents' reaction to the whole situation. She says they still can't fully understand why I reacted so harshly. They see their actions as a normal part of family relationships and can't grasp why I made a mountain out of a molehill. This lack of understanding frustrates me, but also confirms that I made the right decision to distance myself from them. As for my personal life, I have started dating again. I had avoided any relationships while dealing with this family drama, but recently I met a girl who has shown incredible understanding of my situation. For now, it's just the beginning, but it's nice to know that I am building a relationship with someone who respects my boundaries and values. I am also considering some serious life changes. I have always wanted to get a master's degree but have been putting it off, partly because of concerns about how it would affect my ability to financially support my family. Now, I am seriously considering various programs and think it's time to make that move. It gives me strength to make decisions based solely on my interests and future. Writing this update, I realize how much has changed in the last few months. The initial shock and anger have given way to a calm determination. I am no longer just reacting to my family's actions. I am actively shaping the life I want for myself. Update 3. It's been about 2 months since my last update, and I would like to share some news with you. First and foremost, the legal issue. After much deliberation and consultation with my lawyer, I decided not to press charges against my parents. This was not an easy decision, and I know many of you advised me to go ahead with it. However, my lawyer explained that since the bank had canceled the charges, the case would be difficult, expensive, and not guaranteed to succeed. Instead, we sent my parents an official letter demanding that they cease any actions with my financial data and warning that if they violated this again, I would immediately take legal action. Now, about the family situation. The period of no contact with my parents and Emma proved to be both challenging and enlightening for me. I had time to reflect on our family relationships and work on myself. I regularly see a psychologist, which has significantly helped me process my emotions and set healthier boundaries. About a month after the start of our break, I received an unexpected letter from Emma. Unlike her previous tearful accusations, this letter was surprisingly mature. She wrote that she had thought a lot and realized how wrong our parents were. She apologized for her initial reaction and for not supporting me then. Emma acknowledged that she had always been aware of the preferential treatment by our parents but had been too comfortable to challenge them. I was cautious about this letter, but decided to give Emma a chance. We have spoken on the phone several times, and I can see that she is really trying to understand my point of view. She has also shared some of her own struggles related to our parents' financial irresponsibility, which she had never spoken about before. As for my parents, they are not very willing to take responsibility. They have made several attempts to contact me, from angry voice messages to guilt-tripping letters. One day, my mom even showed up at my house unannounced and caused a scene in the hallway. I stood firm and refused to engage in the conflict, although it was not easy but necessary. The situation with relatives has been mixed. Some of them support me, especially my aunt, who is the first to offer me a helping hand. She has become an important ally and support for me. However, others continue to pressure me and use the argument, "But they are your family," for their own comfort. For my own peace of mind, I have had to distance myself from some of them. Fortunately for me, this whole situation has led to unexpected personal growth. The time and energy that were previously spent on family drama are now directed toward my life and goals. I have found a new hobby, photography, and started spending more time with friends. These months have been tough, but they have also been an important stage of recovery and realization of my values. I continue to move forward, set healthy boundaries, and build a life where my interests and self-respect come first. I have also made several important financial decisions. I increased my contributions to my retirement accounts and started building a more reliable emergency fund. This whole experience has clearly shown me the importance of financial independence and security. A particularly pleasant moment happened last week when I was promoted at work, and this promotion was accompanied by a significant salary increase. In the past, I might have felt obligated to share this news with my family, but this time I quietly celebrated with a few close friends. As for the graduation trip of Emma, I learned from my aunt that my parents eventually sent her on a 2-week tour of California. Emma, it seems, was satisfied. With cautious optimism, I look to the future. I have decided to extend the period of no contact with my parents for at least another 3 months. I need more time to recover and understand if they are capable of respecting my boundaries. As for Emma, I am open to slowly rebuilding our relationship, but I am approaching this with caution. This experience has taught me a lot about standing up for my rights and what the word family really means. I have realized that family is not just about blood ties, but also about mutual respect, support, and love. Friends and relatives who supported me during this trial showed me what a real family should be like. I have also learned an important lesson about financial independence. I have always been good with money, but this situation has made me even more attentive. I have set up additional security measures for all my accounts. There were moments of doubt and sadness, especially during family holidays. Mother's Day was particularly tough, but I reminded myself that cutting off contact was necessary for my mental health and personal growth. An unexpected outcome of this whole situation is that I have become something of a consultant for friends who are dealing with similar problems in their families. Several people have come to me for advice on how to set boundaries and deal with financially irresponsible relatives. It's gratifying to know that I can help others cope with such situations. As for the financial situation of my parents, I learned from my aunt that they are currently experiencing difficulties. It turns out they were counting on using my credit card not just for Emma's trip. This has led to arguments between them, and my father is blaming my mother for going too far with the credit card fraud. I feel a bit guilty about their struggles, but I remind myself that their poor financial decisions are not my responsibility. Emma has shared some observations about our parents' reaction to the whole situation. She says they still can't fully understand why I reacted so harshly. They see their actions as a normal part of family relationships and can't grasp why I made a mountain out of a molehill. This lack of understanding frustrates me, but also confirms that I made the right decision to distance myself from them. As for my personal life, I have started dating again. I had avoided any relationships while dealing with this family drama, but recently I met a girl who has shown incredible understanding of my situation. For now, it's just the beginning, but it's nice to know that I am building a relationship with someone who respects my boundaries and values. I am also considering some serious life changes. I have always wanted to get a master's degree, but had been putting it off, partly because of concerns about how it would affect my ability to financially support my family. Now, I am seriously considering various programs and think it's time to make that move. It gives me strength to make decisions based solely on my interests and future. Writing this update, I realize how much has changed in the last few months. The initial shock and anger have given way to a calm determination. I am no longer just reacting to my family's actions. I am actively shaping the life I want for myself. Update 4. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I felt it was time to share the latest developments in my life. First, the biggest news. I have been accepted into a master's program in a city about 3 hours away from my current residence. It's a 2-year program in financial technology, which perfectly aligns with my career goals. Classes start in the fall, and I am both excited and a little nervous about this new chapter in my life. The decision to continue my education was not easy. It means I will have to leave my current job, move to a different city, and take out a student loan. But it also means investing in myself and my future. I realized that I had been holding myself back, always considering how my decisions would affect my family. Now, I am making decisions based on my interests, and it is incredibly liberating. As for the family situation, things have taken an unexpected turn. The period of no contact with my parents officially ended 2 months ago. I agreed to family therapy under the guidance of a professional psychologist. The session was tense. My parents came with a defensive stance, still insisting that they had done nothing wrong. But as the session progressed, unexpected facts came to light. It turns out that my father had lost a significant amount of money in a failed investment, which he had been hiding from everyone, including my mom. They had been secretly experiencing financial difficulties for several months and saw my credit card as a way to maintain the appearance of well-being. This revelation caused a lot of tears and mutual recriminations. My mom felt betrayed by my father's secrecy. My father felt ashamed of his mistakes, and both of them finally realized the seriousness of what they had done to me. Although this explanation does not excuse their actions, it helped me understand the desperation that led to such decisions. The psychologist helped us work through some of these issues, and for the first time, I heard sincere apologies from both parents. We agreed to continue family therapy once a month. It's a slow process, and I continue to maintain hard boundaries, but I feel a cautious optimism about the possibility of rebuilding our relationships on healthier terms. Emma continues to demonstrate growth and maturity. She has taken steps toward financial independence by getting a permanent job and has also moved into her own apartment. We have started talking more, and I feel like I am only now getting to know my sister. She even asked me for advice on budgeting and saving money. As for my personal life, the relationship I mentioned in the previous update has been incredibly supportive as I return to school. Despite the fact that we will have to maintain a long-distance relationship for some time, in terms of finances, I am doing well. The promotion I received allowed me to save a significant amount for the move and partially cover the costs of my master's program. I have also become much more confident in protecting my financial information. Recently, I had to fend off a distant relative's attempt to pressure me into becoming a guarantor for a loan. It wasn't easy, but I stood firm and defended my boundaries, which brought me satisfaction. As I prepare for this new stage in my life, I have reflected on how much has changed since that shocking phone call from my mom about the credit card charges. The pain and anger I felt then have largely subsided, giving way to a sense of strength and self-confidence I didn't know I had. I have learned a lot from this experience. I have realized how important it is to set and maintain boundaries, especially with family. I have understood that it is okay to put your own well-being and future first. And I have learned that a real family, whether blood relatives or people we choose, supports your growth and respects your boundaries. Packing up my apartment and preparing for this new adventure, I feel an excitement and hope that I haven't felt in years. I am proud of how far I have come and look to the future with optimism. So be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think of this whole story. In my opinion, it's clear that the author is absolutely right. It's definitely worth putting your interests above those who try to manipulate you, even if it's family. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Watch our previous video, which you will see here, and good luck.